So joining me now is our great panel, Ari Fleischer, former White House press secretary and Fox News contributor, Lisa Boothe, Fox News political analyst and host of The Truth with Lisa Boothe, and Kevin Walling, former Biden 2020 campaign surrogate and vice president at HG Creative. Thanks, guys. Great to have all of you here. So, Ari, let me start with this. This is a Trump invention, basically, because prior to the first term, we were not privy to these cabinet meetings, and he started doing this in the first term. There was a little bit of a tape delay last time around. What do you think about this? What stood out to you?
Well, this was not a cabinet meeting. This was a news conference with the cabinet invited to watch it
and participate.
Maybe after they maybe after they shooed the press out after an hour, it turned into a cabinet meeting and they talked about other things. But it's remarkable. The press has absolutely zero, nothing to complain about in this country. What kind of access are they getting to the president of the United States? This is unheard of. You know, in the Bush years, we had many cabinet meetings. I sat in on all of them. The press would come in, ask 2, 3, 4 questions, and then my staff's job was to shoo them out of the room so we could begin the cabinet meeting. This was a remarkable news conference.
It was. And Lisa Boothe, it started in a remarkable way, especially given the Pew study that came out today, which showed that there's actually a resurgence of prayer and religion in this country. Lisa, let's play this. You picked this as the important moment here. Let's watch.
Father, thank you for giving us this opportunity to restore faith in this country and be a blessing to the people of America.
Lisa, your thoughts?
Yeah, I felt this was important because what does this president get called? He gets called a king, a tyrant, a dictator. And you look at the bulk of the conversation that took place today. What was it about? It was about returning the power in the hands of the American people, about reducing the federal workforce, about saving taxpayer money, about even, putting the Department of Education back in the hands of states. So if he's a dictator, he is really bad about it. He's a really terrible dictator here. But that's what this past election was about. And that's what this administration is about wrestling the power back from the bureaucratic state and delivering it and returning it to the hands of the American people. That's what he's been doing with this. And you look at going back into 1789, we had 3 federal agencies. Now we have 400. You've got something like 2.4 million federal workers. Does anyone, Martha, watching believe that as the government has grown, it's become more accountable and more in touch with the American people? Yeah. So that's what Trump is about the we the people president returning the power to us.
I equate this email, this 5-point email, to the CAPTCHA thing that you have to do. Are there bridges? Show the pictures that have bridges. Prove you're a human being. It's not really that tough. It's truly not really that offensive, Kevin. And Kevin, let me bring you in here. I actually want to play something about Medicaid, because a lot of Democrats have been warning people that their Medicare and Medicaid programs are about to get slashed and burned. Let's listen to what the president said on this.
Can you guarantee that Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security will not be touched?
Yeah, I mean, I have said it so many times, you shouldn't be asking me that question. Okay? This will not be read my lips. It won't be read my lips anymore. We're not going to touch it. Now, we are going to look for fraud. I'm sure you're okay with that.
So, Kevin, what do you say to that?
Well, listen, you had the president out there saying that. He campaigned on no cuts to Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security, but you also have a Congress that passed a bill that calls for $880 billion in cuts under the jurisdiction of the Energy and Commerce Committee. 86% of our federal spending goes directly to Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, and defense spending. So
that the Republicans who passed that bill last night say that is an error, that's a talking point that is not accurate. And I think there's a very
it's written into the legislation
here
that they passed that's under the purview of the Energy and Commerce
Committee. Well, it hasn't passed anywhere
Committee.
yet. It has to go to the Senate now, and there's a lot of negotiation that will go on before this becomes a bill. But I think that what the president said there, Kevin, is really important. And once anyone discusses looking at Medicare and Medicaid for fraud, it immediately gets translated, most often by Democrats, I must say, but sometimes by some Republicans, as they want to cut Medicare and Medicaid. But do you back a proposal to open up Medicare and Medicaid? Let's find out who's getting these checks, because there is an enormous amount of inaccurate bills and checks that are going out from this agency. Do you have any problem with that?
Absolutely. This Democrat's all about, tackling waste, fraud, and abuse in the system. And supports aspects of what DOJ is trying to do. That's why I was supportive of Hakeem Jeffries appointing Democratic members in the House to that DOJ subcommittee to have a seat at the table in those conversations. Now, we also have to fact check what DOJ is putting out there, saying, there's 150-year-olds receiving checks from Social Security and Medicare and things like that are out there. But I'm all about tackling waste, fraud, and abuse. I just want to make sure and ensure that none of these cuts really affect the 41 million children, for example, that are on Medicaid, the rural health care, many of whom are Trump voters that supported the president, that they don't see cuts to rural health care.
I don't think he really could be more clear on this. Ari, final thought from you, because obviously you cannot make the kinds of cuts that Elon Musk talked about, which are tremendous. He said you have to cut $4 billion every day in order to meet their goal. You can't do it without getting into Medicare, Medicaid, the programs, and at least looking for fraud.
Yeah, during the campaign, the president said he wanted to touch Social Security and Medicare, the program for the elderly. Now, he has added, it seems, Medicaid to it, which to me puts the president on thin ice. I don't know how they're going to do what they want to do on Capitol Hill if they can't make reforms to Medicaid, if they're required to lock in all the surge of people who got put onto Medicaid by the Biden administration post-COVID. These people need to come off. They shouldn't be on Medicaid for life. So Medicaid needs to be touched. It needs to be touched the right way. But they can't do their job without doing that.
I mean, I think that could go into the waste category. I think there's a category that they can look at that under and say this person is not a, it shouldn't be a recipient in this program. And I think that's what happens when you open the books. But even opening the books on this issue will have a ton of ads being made, and they're being made already, saying that Republicans are cutting Medicare and Medicaid. Thank you, you guys. We got to leave it there. Thank you all very much.
Thanks, Martha.
Good to have you.